Hello once again, my fellow Jeti users. Now, there's been a couple of questions recently asked on Facebook about a problem trying to use the buddy box or pupil teacher mode with flight modes. And so if people are starting to ask those questions, I thought it's worth a video. The problem has arisen, of course, because many people follow my video on how to do flaps by flight modes, and it's certainly my preferred way of controlling your flaps. But if you try to do that with a buddy box, it would appear not to work. And the reason is there is no control on the function flaps. You're simply creating the function so that the servos are created, so that the butterfly and flight mode trims can operate the flap servos using the flight modes. So let's have a look at how incredibly simple it is to actually solve this apparent problem. This is the teacher transmitter, and I have over here the DS12 is the pupil, and just to demonstrate it as proof, I've got a flap and an elevator servo. All will become clear. Let's have a look at this, the model. Basic properties, it's a 2-flap 2-aileron model. The function assignment, as usual for me, flaps has no control, and that's where apparently you think it gives the buddy box a problem. And then, of course, we've got the 3 flight modes, and the flaps are set to separate, and the values down here then go by the flight mode we're in. So I'll change flight modes. We're in default mode. There's flaps. Go to takeoff, it changes. Go to landing, and it changes. And there goes the flap servo with it. And I have also set in digital trim the elevator to flight mode separate. And I've been trimming it using the trim button so that the elevator also moves with the flaps. So far, so good. Now, how then do you get the buddy box to work with it? So we've got the buddy box up and running. There's my trainer switch, it's this one. And here are the functions it lists for you to enable whether the pupil can take control of any of them. Okay, let's go and have a look at the pupil. Now, the pupil is an extremely simple model. A basic 4-function, 4-channel model. Look at that. No flaps at all. 1 aileron. Therefore, functions assignment. There's nothing there about flaps. Simply doesn't exist. Servos, only 4 servos assigned. Come out of that, we'll have a look, and I'll just prove it. There are no flight modes. And if we have a look at then the butterfly, doesn't exist. Why? Because we've only selected a 1 aileron model. There's no butterfly you can do. So how do we get it to work? And if we look in the advanced properties, come down to the wireless modes trainer, it's only going to offer us ailerons, elevator, rudder, and throttle. There is no flap function to send over to the teacher. But even if there was, say we created the function flap, what are you going to do? Here's the 3-position switch we'll use for it. If you assign that 3-position switch, then when the teacher gives it control, that 3-position switch is going to go +100, 0, -100, which is directly controlling the flaps off a switch, not the flight mode. And the teacher transmitter is going to continue sending everything as per the default flight mode, not the landing or takeoff modes. The answer lies in coming down here into emulated controls. Let's do that on both of them. Emulated controls. So on the pupil, we'll go into that one, open it up, and we'll move the switch we want to move the flight modes. Like that. Say OK. come over here and we'll say that that is controlling what we would be using. Ooh, not that switch, this one here. Say OK. Right, all should be well. I will now demonstrate.
Warning, transmitter low battery.
Oh dear. Sorry about that coming up.
Warning, transmitter low battery.
I'll pause for a second.
Warning.
There, I've plugged in its charger, so that'll keep it happy. Right, we're in the default flight mode at the moment. The pupil is switched off, so with my flaps, or really flight mode switch, I can move all of those, and quite happily my servos move. You might be able to just see them or hear them at the side there. There we go. So let's now give control over to the pupil, simply because we've matched these emulated controls. Give control to the pupil. Now I'll move the pupil's control switch and let's see what happens to the mode. Takeoff mode, landing mode. Lovely. And watch the servos go as well. Perfect. I'll just prove it. I'm moving the trainer pupil switch, and everything is working as it should, because the pupil switch is controlling the flight mode on the teacher. I'll prove it by moving the teacher flight mode switch, that nothing is happening. See? Now I'll switch off the pupil and I'm back to the teacher having control. And it's as simple as that. If you find that the flight modes are going the wrong way when you give control to the pupil, so when you move the switch to landing flap, you've actually got flaps up, or default mode, then what you do is don't try reversing the control here. It doesn't seem to work. Go to the pupil, go into the control and press the reverse button. Okay? Simple as that. And then the pupil one will work the correct way around. So there you go. Very, very simple 4-function, 4-channel model, no flight modes. Can be set to run all the flight modes in the teacher transmitter.